Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Erica, the Black Nationalist. I'm coming back at you with another video for this evening. And this evening, I really want to talk about homosexuality. It's very unfortunate that this topic is being plagued on our month, Black History Month. Side note, we all know to be black 365, 7 days a week. However, this is a month that we should be celebrating what our foundational Black American men and women went through in building this country. We should be celebrating the inventions that they have created and still creates that is being used by society today. No, what we are facing is the gay side, how they are dominating this month. And what they are doing is getting gay black men and women who suffers at the hands by discrimination, but they also trying to say that they are suffering because of their sexuality. So they basically just want you to ignore them being discriminated by their race, but to highlight that, oh no, they are being discriminated against because of their sexuality, which we know is not true. Not only just that, I saw recently on my timeline today a young, his name is what? Swai Lee, SWAE. He is to design men's heels for his gender neutral fashion line. This happened today from what I've seen. We're also being bombarded with Dwayne Wade and with him going around touring, letting people know that his son is now a girl, which I believe he is living through his son. I truly believe that. I mean, the man is really, his actions is screaming very loud, saying, I want to get out, instead of him just saying, you know what, I am attracted to both sex. But he's just using his son as a pawn, which is very dangerous. Because I'm going to go over briefly about the homosexuality that took place in ancient times. And this is not going to be the only video that I am going to touch upon in ancient times. What I want to discuss today is about Rome. And the reason why I want to discuss Rome is because the practices that those men did back then, we are seeing how it hasn't changed. The only thing that took place now is the amount of time, and the deviancy that is being done is overwhelming. The deviancy that is being done to our children is extremely overwhelming. So I'm going to go right into it, and I do want to say this. I have went over some of the words, the names, the terms of these individuals, the historians, some of the words of their words at that time, and I have mispronounced them. And you know what? I am going to try my best to pronounce them, but I may just go right ahead and spell it so that you could be able to look it up yourself as well. So I do apologize if I have butchered any other names. Now, the first emperor that I want to discuss is Emperor Tiberius. Now, from what history has shown, that during his reign, everything was prosperous. It was prosperous. I'm sorry. Everything was it was at peace. Rome was really starting to get its weight up, basically, as showing itself that they are a might that shouldn't be reckoned with. However, during his last years of him reigning, he basically spent his isolation on the island of Capri in a villa. Now, here's this Roman historian, Suetonius. It is spelled Suetonius. Now, according to this historian, he said that Tiberius had organized really perverse games. And we know perverse is shortened for perversion, something that is basically twisted, in other words. So this Roman historian, he writes about Emperor Tiberius, his twisted view of sexuality. Now, keep in mind, this man is 77 years old. Now, there are some others that try to dispute what this particular historian says, but they cannot say that what he did on this island, all of it is not true, because it is also noted that Tiberius, he would have his soldiers to go out to the town below his villa to have them to grab the young boys so that he could have sex with them and toss their bodies over the cliff. Now, there is some that says that they cannot confirm if this is true, but then there are others that says that this actually took place. So that's one of the things that Emperor Tiberius is known for doing. Also, he managed to collect the largest library of pornographic works in the world. That is something that he was very fonded of. And as you know, when you with porn, it can be a gateway, but I'm not going to say always, because some people, they know how to keep that under control. But if you don't know how to keep something under control, it could be a gateway to other sexual deviancy that could later on hurt you and somebody else down the line. Now, there is one type of position that the emperor he had created is sprintry. I believe that's what it's pronounced. But anyway, it's spelled Springtrie. Well, this particular position, it involves three males that were engaged in each other sexually. So it was noted that the emperor, he liked to watch these three men have sex with each other. And at the end, he would choose specific people who made love in the positions indicated by him. So basically, he was the director of his own pornographic shows, you could say. And he really got off on that. Now, keep in mind, the emperor had a large harem of young boys and girls. He was not messing with teenagers and up. He was messing with young children. That's who he was messing with. He favored young boys in particular, but he did rape some girls. Like one, this young lady, she was a member of the senatorial line who went to visit him. Melonia, he went on ahead and decided to rape her. And while she was still resisting, he decided to destroy her life by going around harassing her, and she having trials that she needs to constantly fight off, to the point that she just went on ahead and committed suicide. So he raped this young lady and drove her to the point that she had to commit suicide. That is in one instance. Another instance, as to how erotic his behavior was and how perverse he was, is that there were this young gentleman. He was very attractive, from what it said. He was a slave, and there was a time of a sacrifice that was being done. He raped that young man after the ceremony. And he also had his brother to participate in the procedure. But when he learned that both regretted this event, when he learned that both of the brothers did not like what took place, Tiberius had the men ordered to break both of their legs. So these two slaves, that's what they were. One of them, he was very handsome in appearance. He raped the young man after the ceremony and wanted his brother to participate in this. They did not like it, and he went on ahead and had them disabled. And that is something what individuals, if you do not accept their behavior or their lifestyle, they will find some type of way to cause bodily harm on you, because they don't like the fact that you are not accepting their sick mind. Now, there is another thing to which this Roman historian, what he had made mention about Tiberius being into such twisted things, that he also invented kinky games. Now, and one in particular, he had trained several-year-old boys to play fishes. And this is in quotes. Emperor Tiberius went into the water naked. You can look this up, and I'm also going to provide a link. Tiberius went into the water naked, and young boys dived around him and teased his thighs and penis with their teeth. The fun did not only end with biting, but also sucking on the penis of the ruler. With time, Tiberius came up with devilish ideas that would involve infants to play. Now, We are hearing of stories. One gentleman, it was a story that I couldn't finish reading it because it was disgusting, but it was one Caucasian guy who was caught raping a 16-month-old boy. He was caught raping him. Now, again, I do know homosexuality has been around for so many thousands of years, and I'm not trying to say that those who are homosexuals that they are pedophiles, but it does let you see that there is a parallel there, that you cannot take one away from the other. Now, this Emperor Tiberius, he was into both boys and girls, but he basically enjoyed boys more so, and he went on as far as to get infants involved in this little game where they would go around basically suck his penis and so forth. And so the reason why I brought up that story that took place up to date, it's the same thing. Their same deviancy that they had, their ancestors had thousands of years ago, it hasn't changed. And as I may mention, it has been said as to what he had did to those young boys. He would rape them and then toss them over the cliff, discarded them like they was absolutely nothing. It just goes to show you exactly how sick their minds are. They don't care. As long as they can get what they want, they don't care who they hurt and how they hurt the people. Now, there was one particular emperor. His name was Emperor Titus. And with him, he kept a number of eunuchs around him, and he also kept a number of individuals, those who were older, male prostitutes, and those who were just basically in their primes. But see, here's the thing that you want to take away from this. At that time, the Romans, the adult men, they were expected to take on the role of the penetrator in their love affairs. So fast forward today, who do we hear of who is raping our children? They are older men. You have the vast majority of them, they are older. They may be 35 and up or something to that effect. You maybe have some that's in their 50s. Now, this is happening here in ancient Rome. Now, this was an expected behavior to take on the role to penetrate that boy, because you're looking at you're mature and you're the one that is in control. See, rape is about power. It is about control. You controlling that subject. You're not looking at them as a human being. You just looking at them as an object, a subject to you that you could just conquer and go on with the rest of your day. Well, this was taking place back in ancient Rome. It is also said while this particular emperor Titus, he had eunuchs around. We all know what a eunuch is, at least I hope so. We do know that they castrate them, thus ending their way of lineage. And also it's a good way of keeping them as your sex slaves. So having these individuals that cannot run away, because even if they were to try to run away, they will find a way to kill them, but they can't do anything for the rest of their lives because they no longer have their manhood. But what is noted about the ancient Romans with their homosexuality, unlike the Greek literature, Rome, the male on male sex was very common amongst the Romans instead of the Greeks. Now, again, you had your lesbians, you had your bisexuals, you had your transvestites. I'm sorry, your trans, those who, was wearing women clothes and stuff like that. And you just have some who was just openly gay. However, when it came to the male on male, that was prominent. When you think of lesbians coming together, some people may think of it being hot. You got two hot women coming together. So what? But when it comes to a man, the reason why it is really looked down upon so is because you are penetrating an area that is not meant to be penetrated. Your rectum is, well, your garbage, the food that you eat and so forth, and your intestines break it down, it goes out of you. So you're forcing an object inside of an area that is not meant to be forced. And that was prevalent. And it's prevalent today. With this male on male sex, there were some roles that these men or these boys that they had to take on, which was concubines, analysts, chicks, or dainty boy. So when you hear of a dainty boy, these are the particular roles that they took place on for the male on male sex. And if you was to go and check out the Craig Williams Roman Homosexuality, it makes mention that the desire to penetrate a handsome youth was normal. Now, it goes on with their history that the Roman men, they were free to enjoy sex with other males without a perceived loss of masculinity or social status. Billy Porter, all these other gay men that we see on the news, they wanted to be that, even though you haven't, what's his name? I can't even think of his name. Is it Malik? I can't think of him, but whatever. He was that guy that played on New York Undercover and was on that Breakfast Club. Well, anyway, he was trying to make having sex with a male, even though he's a transvestite, a male as being acceptable and that you're not emasculated. This in ancient Rome, Roman men were free to enjoy sex with other males without a perceived loss of masculinity or social status as long as they took the dominant or penetrative role. So that's why we have these men today that is saying, Tank, there's nothing wrong with you sucking a man's penis one time or two times, because they want that to be normalized just as it was in ancient Rome. You're not going to lose your manhood. You're not going to lose it at all. If anything, you're still a man. No, even though you are really doing something that is completely not normal. And I do want to mention that his name is Malik Yoba. That's it. From the New York Undercover. I knew it was Malik something. I just didn't know the last name. But anyway, see, the mindset hasn't changed. During the Roman Empire, they did have some laws to address the rape of male citizens as early as the 2nd century BC. However, it wasn't pushed heavily because it was so widely accepted. Even though they had a Roman law to address the rape of male citizens, it wasn't pushed heavily because it was widely accepted. And also, it was so accepted that in the military, the Roman military, with them, it was said that the male on male and the military, the Roman soldiers, they were expected to show self-discipline in a matter of sex. However, Roman historians record cautionary tales of officers who abused their authority to coerce sex from their soldiers. And it was also, from what I remember watching one of those BBC documentaries, that they will rape the soldiers before they go into war to basically get them amped up, because you're already like, somebody just did this to me and I'm ready to kill. You just forcibly took my manhood, now I'm ready to kill, and if you don't go out, then they will kill you. It really is twisted, but it is what it is. And so you have the homosexuality in the military. Look what you had. Oh, what did Obama do as far as with the gays in the military? Basically making it known that you could do this, X, Y, and Z in the military. It hasn't changed. And from what I understand, that there has been some cases of men raping other military males at the bases, which is crazy. But this is the type of world that we are living in. I do want to go back as far as with the homosexuality culture, or also the rape culture that took place in ancient Rome. You could know which particular brothel that you was at by just walking on the ground. And I do remember this documentary as well, that there would be carvings of penises on the grounds that is going to point you to the nearest gay brothel. And sometimes, even though they may have been consensual sex, there was also a place where the slaves, well, they were raped, where the children, well, they were raped as well. And also, they would have, from this particular documentary that I did see, it was like a doorknob that was shaped of a penis, and you would use it to knock on that. It was the shape of the testicles. That's what it was. It was the shape of the testicles, and you would use it to knock on that particular door or that brothel that you wanted to go into. So as you can see here in this photo, that there are some coins that shows, which is normal at that time, of a young boy giving oral sex to this older man. This was normal at that time. To let you know about its normality, about this, there was this particular poet, Ausonius, in the 4th century AD. He made jokes about a male threesome that depends on imagining the configuration of group sex. And as you can see, you can look at this screenshot as well. It went on to say, 3 men in bed together, 2 are sinning, 2 are sinned against. Doesn't that make 4 men? You're mistaken. The man on either end is implicated once, but the one in the middle does double duty, meaning that not only is he being penetrated, he also is given oral sex. And also, the large penis was known as a major element in attractiveness in ancient Rome. And we see how white people, just to go into a little bit of modern times, we see how white people have always had a fascination with our black men genitalia. At this time, in ancient Rome, they also had African slaves. And I'm pretty sure that you could just go right along and read for yourself. It is from the Matthew Koffler, The Manly Eunuch, Masculinity and Christian Ideology. Is You could read that book. This is where the quote is coming from. So, the fascination of the large penises, the ongoing rape of boys and girls, but the main targets were boys, and the homosexuality was very prevalent at that time. And it gotten worse by the time it was about to fall. It's almost similar to what is happening here in America. Every single day we are hearing of some sick depravity that is being done against a young boy, against a young girl. And this is why it's always parallel that we are at the fall of Rome, so to speak. Now I want to go back a little bit and to show you about some of the things that I was referencing, the shapes, the objects. You had this penis shape. You had a penis that was a charm. As you can see, the middle, that is supposed to be a charm. That's what that is supposed to be. And also at that time, you could tell by the Roman clothing as to who was the man or the head of the household, or who was the child, or who was the prostitute. You knew by their clothes as to who was who and what was what. So therefore, clothing today, let's make it modern. When you see a man wearing something that's extremely tight, or when you see him wearing a garment that is feminine, what are you going to associate that with? Okay, he must be a homosexual. He must be a gay man. Or when you see a woman, when she is wearing clothes that is tries to resemble that of a man, a lesbian. So even at this time, and there it was stated by Ulpian, who was a prominent Roman jurist born in Tyre at that time. He categorized the Roman clothing based on who wore it. So you knew exactly what you were looking at. And it made mention that the men that they would wear women's clothing, so you knew if they was either a prostitute or that they were a trans. It's the same thing that we are seeing today. That's why when you look at these clothing, like the men's clothing is getting so much tighter and tighter. It's to the point that you're like, wait a minute, how is it that you're able to breathe down there? That's what I sometimes want to know, but I digress. Going back to the clothing, I believe I read somewhere that they tried to say that the first drag was done by a black slave. No. This was even done back here in ancient Rome. We know it was done in Greece as well. It's just that I hate it when you see stuff on social media or on the news that they always trying to say that, okay, all this stuff happened by black men and or black women. All this homosexuality came out of Africa and so forth. No, you really have to say, okay, now you speaking on some BS with the transvestism that was taking place at this time in ancient Rome. There was a certain senator that was accustomed to wearing women's evening clothes. And I do know that Emperor Nero, he was also one of them as well. And one particular incident, there was an elder, Seneca, who made a mockery. It was just a mockery trial. But basically, what he went on to say is that there was a young man, an adolescent, who was gang raped while wearing women's clothes in public. But his attire is explained as his acting being dared on by friends. See, this is why you have individuals that when they look at you and they would judge you by your outer appearance. Let's bring it to modern day times. So if I'm seeing a man that has his nail polish, Dwayne Wade as an example. Dwayne Wade, he has his toenail polish. You see him with that thigh tattoo. You saw him with a blazer that was very hugging on him. You are going to think, okay, are you one of those that's trying to blur the lines of saying that you're masculine but you're not? Are you trying to say a little bit by little bit, I'm going to start wearing more and more attire that is meant for women? This is what took place back then. Now, even though what I just read to you was a mock trial, it just goes to show you how what your appearance, what it can say to the person that's outside looking at you. Now, that was just a brief point that I wanted to go over with Rome. And of course, I want to do another one, especially on Greece. They were very, very, very known for that. They loved it. Alexander the Great, I believe he was bisexual himself. But Rome, the Romans, they were just known for their sick depravity. And therefore, we should not be surprised as we are seeing some of their offsprings behaving the same way. And not just the Romans, I mean, I'm just saying, all of these white men, we should not be surprised. This is their history. You see how white people want to be so quick to steal everybody else's history, like African history, Egyptian history, all of it. I mean, Egypt is in Africa. But the point is, they want to steal everybody else's history that involved them building, creating. White people history is about savagery and it's about rape, all the sick and twisted things that you could ever think of. That is their history, and that is something that they like to try to hide, but they can't, because it is still being shown down to this day. There's this particular, I don't know if you all have heard about that professor at the University of Texas. His name is Thomas Hubbard. Well, here's a photo of him, and I'm also going to leave a link of the article that you can go to read about him. Now, he says that no, he argues that it should be legal for grown men to have sex with children. Now, in ancient Rome, the ages that these older men, because remember, the older men were the one that did the penetration. They preferred boys from the ages of 12 to 20, but it is also said that they went even as far as to toddlers on up. But here's this Thomas Hubbard, in which he says, and I'm going to quote right here, he argues that the ancient Greeks showed us that where age discrepant relationships are commonplace and positively reinforced, they cause little or no long-term harm to the younger partner and often confer great benefits, he writes. That's a bullshit lie. I have explained in one of my previous videos of me being molested at the age of 5 and 6. That shit never leaves you. It never leaves you at all. You still retain what that individual had on. You still retain the place, the time. You still retain that because they robbed you of your innocence because they were selfish. This is why I have a deep hatred for pedophiles, not just because of what happened to me, but because you're preying on the innocence of children who's supposed to be enjoying their life. They should not have to worry about some bastard over here that is deviant to come and to steal something precious from them. Especially now with the girl, it is very disgusting. Very disgusting. You robbing her of her virginity. However, with a boy, think about it. Remember what I said. The anus is meant for garbage to come out. When you're forcing an object that is not meant to go inside of this small hole, that is damaging. And just think of the pain and suffering and nightmares that boy is going to go through. You have this professor at the University of Texas that is arguing that it didn't cause any long-term harm in ancient Greece. Did this man not know about the Spartans and what they did? They had these boys to test each other, to fight, to see who could to fight to the finish. Also, when the child was born, the male was born, they would look to see if he was weak or not. And if he was appearing to be weak, they tossed him over to be killed. So you want to pattern our lives after these individuals that rape and kill because they on the outside they appear to be weak looking? Is this really your argument? Now, if the article went on to say, because it is a 22-page article that he wrote for a journal called Thymus, entitled Sexual Consent in the Adolescent Male, or What We Can Learn from the Greeks. I swear. The professor, he basically said, in so many words, they should have their right to have sex with children. Now, he also says that he is not in support of NAMBLA, but to me, it's almost the same. That is what I'm gathering. Because I wanted to know, is he a NAMBLA member? That's what I really wanted to know. And what makes things even more twisted, to let you know how they're trying to indoctrinate our children. Now, they are college students. It is said here that he had one of the students said that he had them to write a paper over lowering the age of consent and lowering the punishment for sexually assaulting a child under the age of 6, even though he still received a hefty salary paid for by the citizens of Texas. Now, they are trying to get this man out because of this, but the simple fact that they can't lets you know that those at this particular university, they enjoy what he is saying. So think about it. There was this group called NAMBLA, the National Boy Association Love, or something to that effect. You can look it up. They've been around for years. They have brochures of how they tell the boys and the girls to keep their relationship a secret. It's a manual of them showing and telling children what to say to keep it a secret and to make sure that nobody else knows about it. This man, this Thomas Hubbard, he wants the age of consent to be under 6 years old. On the outskirts, I made mention of this older gentleman, how he raped a 16-month-old boy. That's a year and 4 months. You really have to be demonic to even think of something like that. Now, this man, Thomas Hubbard, he's an older guy, an older white guy. Remember, Emperor Tiberius, what, he was 77 years old. He was over here having his soldiers to go to get the young boys in the in the village so that he can rape them and toss their bodies over the cliff. He also had little boys to come in and play the game fishes, where they come in the water with him and they swim to him, bite on his thigh, and also suck on his penis. And that he even went so far as to getting infants involved. I mean, the accuracy, the historical parallelism that we see, their mindset of their sick and twisted views on raping children has not changed. This is why it baffles me as to why our people want to think that white people went through some type of change of their ways. No, they just gotten deadlier. To let you know how deadlier they have even gotten, okay, there's this woman, her name is Merjam Hein. I want to say it's Hein because it does sound German. But you can see her photo here, and I'm also going to drop the article. This takes place in July of 2018, where this woman, this white woman, was pushing the narrative to accept pedophiles as a sexual orientation. She said, now she said that just like with the how we accept the gays for who they are, and because the gays cannot help who they are sexually attracted to, she compared that and saying, no, she paralleled that and said that pedophiles, they cannot help who they are sexually attracted to. Now, let me give you the reason why I believe as to why she has said this. Is because in 2018, that same year, his name is Holger Munich. He is the president of Germany's Federal Crime Office. It is said that although police were able to solve 80%, almost 80% of the child sexual abuse cases they were dealing with, the statistics only represents crimes that the police were made aware of. It is also stated that they uncovered 7,449 cases of the production and distribution of child pornography in 2018, with a 14% increase over 2017. So you can now understand as to why Mergem would want would want the people in Germany and those around the world, because you can see there's this video of her talking about it, because of the amount of young children that was being abused in Germany alone. And that is only of what the police were made aware of. There are some places in Russia that, in different areas, that they have curtains for a boy and curtains for a girl. And basically, any pedophile can go there and he could go into one of those places and he could select whatever child that he wants to rape. And it's normal over there. And also, who can really put a stop to that? So you have this white woman that wants society to treat pedophiles as the way how we accepted gay people because they cannot help who they are attracted to. We should look at them as no different, instead of looking at them as being predators, instead of looking at them as someone that does not deserve to see the light of day. The woman also went on to say that accepting pedophiles and encouraging them to not pursue their desires will help end their suffering. She said we shouldn't increase the sufferings of pedophiles by excluding them, by blaming and mocking them. By doing that, we increase their isolation and we increase the chance of child sexual abuse. Do you not see how this woman is painting pedophiles as being victims? She is saying that by us we should accept it and encourage them not to pursue their desires, because it will help in their suffering. What about the suffering of the children? Every single day you have these war on drugs. What about the children? You have Whitney Houston make a song about children. You have everybody talking about, well, what about the children? What about this? What about that? You have MFers out here that's telling us, and obviously she's not the only one, because we have a professor that's over here talking about that the age of legal consent should be dropped below the age of 6 years old. So we're going to say F the children's thoughts. We're going to say F what they are going to experience. What I want to know is, have these people ever listened to any of the interviews of these Catholic priests that have raped these young boys, and as they gotten older, they are mentally scarred? Some of them even went so far as, yes, like with Emperor Tiberius, he raped that young girl. She ended up killing herself. You have some of these young boys, they ended up killing themselves because of what that priest has done. Again, what about the children? We just saw recently that the Boy Scouts had to file for bankruptcy because of all of the sexual abuse against the boys. Boys will always be the primary target of rape, because you are entering an area that is not meant to be penetrated. It's damaged. Sometimes, they would have to go in and try to sew it up. They would have to go in there and sew that joker up, because we had a sick bastard that went in and preyed on this child. But yet you have this white woman and this white man, common theme, they are all white, that wants us to accept this sick, demonic, twisted behavior. And she also said that, again, by us allowing them to go after their desires, it would basically decrease their chance of wanting to commit child sexual abuse. Because if we mock them, it's going to, I'm sorry. What she is saying is that if we constantly blame and mock them, it will increase their chance of child sexual abuse. I do apologize about that. She also added, we should accept that pedophiles are people who have not chosen their sexuality and who, unlike most of us, will never be able to live it out freely. Most of us feel discomfort when we think about pedophiles, but just like pedophiles, we are not responsible for our feelings. Bullshit. Why do you think at all these what's it called the drag queens who talk at the libraries, who is right there smiling with their children? White mothers. Their mothers allowing their children to lay on these drag queens. They're allowing their children to just sit up right beside them. You may have a sprinkle of a black parent with her child being next to these drag queens. It's because our people, for some odd reason, feel the need that they have to have the approval. Like, you know what, white people, yeah, I can get down with you as well. But yet, you want to get down with the very people that is going to bring harm to our children. You see, black people, our family unit is broken. Not broken, it's destroyed. When our women accepted feminism, it pushed the protector out, the black man. It pushed him out. So, what is it that the black woman has to do? She may have to work 1 or 2 jobs to pay her bills, to put her child in daycare. And we know, we are hearing stories about people at daycare, they having babies fight each other, or that the daycare owners are raping the children. So we have our single black mothers who have to work these jobs to pay their bills, put their kids in daycare, and try to find somebody to babysit. We're putting them in harm's way. When if you had your husband, you could probably be one of the wives that you did not have to worry about doing all those things, because you would be at home with your children while they are safe. In a safe home. That's where they will be. But no, we have to go right ahead and say, you know what, we don't need the black man. But look at what this deviant practice that took place all the way back in BC, before the Common Era. Before the Common Era, I'm sorry. We see this mess was happening back then, and it's just getting worse even now. Our children, black people, are not safe. Our black men is constantly being put in jail or they're murdered. We have the school to prison pipeline. All of this stuff is against us. This is why we constantly being bombarded with this homosexuality to accept it. The reason why, because we as black people, number one, we do not care if you are gay. And that is something that white society cannot grasp, which is the reason why they call us homophobic. But what we are concerned is when you come and rape our children. That is where we will put up the guard. But the point is, you get our woman who is already alone because you done locked her black man up, and you told her over 40 years that she doesn't need the black man. You got her alone. She's emotional, and we as women, come on, we are emotional creatures by nature because we are nurturers. You bombard her with all these images of these gay black men, these gay black boys. They being paraded around. They doing these dances in front of these gay men, dressing up as drag queens. And you have individuals like RuPaul's telling this young little boy right here on the screenshot with the purple hair, saying that you are our future. Saying that you are our future. Black woman, do you not see what the fuck is going on? You have left our children open to prey. So if you have an issue and with your baby father, let's just say that your baby father, he's not in jail, he is working, but yet he wants to see his child, but you want to be like that black woman who cut her daughter's hair off because she didn't like the fact that someone else braided her hair. Don't be like that. You want to make sure that that man is still inside of your child's life, because our children are exposed to being preyed upon. These white people aren't playing. White people, it is a history of these individuals to rape boys and girls. They took pleasure in raping boys and girls, the young boys and young girls. These sick fucks want to have the ability to rape young boys and girls below the age of 6. What is it going to take for us as a whole, and especially our black women? And I'm talking to you because I am a black woman and I care about where we are going. I am seeing that you all over here clapping, saying sashay, saying yes, you look good, girl. You look good in this dress, even though you know it's a man. But turn around and say, when these white men comes into our community, raping our boys and girls left and right, you're going to be the one saying, where's the black man? You just told this straight black man over here that he has too much masculinity, that you prefer the one with the broken wrist. What is it that Dr. Frances Cress Wilson said in one of her lectures about that? She spoke upon that. She said if that father, that child have that father, the way how he holds his hand in an upward position, that child is going to see a position of power, of masculinity. I can't think of it right now, but it is like one of those technicolors, but you can see it on YouTube. See, we have too many of our young boys with broken wrists. And she also made mention of how our children wants to be on the mother's lap. This sister, our ancestor, our foundational black ancestor, Dr. Frances Cress Wilson, talked about this, and we ignored it. She talked about how white supremacy was going to weaponize homosexuality against our people. And guess what? They have. This is why we're being bombarded with this. We having young gay black designers that's over here making heels for men for gender neutral. How the hell are you going to be gender neutral and you making heels? Heels always associated with women. Remember what I just said about when ancient Rome as to how they can tell who you are by your clothing. All of this shit, what is it? There's nothing new that's being done under the sun. Nothing. It's just that it's just being amplified, and our people are being used to push this because we as black people, we do not accept pedophilia. That is where we really have our guards up. But they want to bombard us every single day with this mess. And when you don't go along with it, they want to call you homophobic. They want to call you all type of names to make you feel bad so that you can say, you know what, I give in. No. There was a particular talk that I remember years ago, and this man said, if you see a group going one way, you want to go the other way. You have to want to say, you know what, I'm not going to follow the crowd. I am going to go this way, because if I follow this crowd, it's going to lead me to my death. That's why when it used to be growing up, y'all remember when a fight was about to break out, about to start, everybody and their mama started coming together in a circle. I know I was the type of person that always went the other way, because guess what? You don't know if somebody going to end up starting shooting. We as black people need to be going the other way instead of going directly into the cave of the beast. These white people aren't playing. They know that their numbers are low, and they want to make sure that our numbers drop as well. So the best way to do it is to constantly say homosexuality is normal, it's natural. Having sex with children is normal, it's natural. There's nothing wrong with that. You want to use the ancient Greece history when we know that their history is riddled with savages and violence and rape and homosexuality. I don't care if you're gay or not. I have a gay cousin, multiple of them. I don't care. I still love them as my own because they my family, and I'm not going to deny you of your dignity. But when it comes to pedophilia, that's when I'm going to draw the line. I could give you personal experience that took place in my family, and I'm just going to be brief with it. My very cousin, his mother, my aunt, pimped him out to her boyfriend who provided her drugs, raping him when he was the age of 6, while she was in the house, in the kitchen, down the hallway, in his room. Did that all the way to his preteens because he got older. Now he's dying of full-blown AIDS, and he is suffering from that. Wondering, he's suffering. The thing is that the child is still going to suffer from the trauma that took place. It does not matter. You're going to have some ancient parents, and then you're going to have some parents that's too busy to pay attention to their child. That is the goal of the world, to keep you so busy that you cannot look at the things that is close to you, which is your family, to see their well-being and how they are doing. That is the whole point. Family. We can't allow this to go on any further. Well, let me just say this. I know it's going to continue to keep going, but as individuals, we have to try to take a stand and say, no, this is not what I'm going to accept, and this is not what I want my family to accept. And then that should be able to spread around those around you. They are going to adopt your same mentality because they see what you're doing is protecting your family, protecting your children. We have to protect our children. It has always been said throughout the decades, what about the children? Well, you know what now? Society is saying fuck the children because we want to fuck them. Excuse my harsh language, but it's the truth. Society is saying F the child because we want to have our way with the child. It goes to show you how much of a downward spiral that we as humanity has won. And it's only going to get worse. Only going to get worse. So this is all that I have for right now. And I do hope you guys enjoyed it. If not, let me know. Please leave your comments and everything. If there's anything that I may have misquoted or something like that, please just let me know, and I'll make sure that I make the corrections and so forth. But I do want to do one on Greece. I really do. And like I said in my previous video, I want to talk about, with the bed wenches and the bed bugs. I am going to talk about those situations. It's just that something like this is very important because we are constantly seeing this every single day, and it does need to be discussed. And not only just that, since we know that Pride Month is going to be coming up, we need to know the mentality of these people so that we can understand as to why that they are behaving the way how they are behaving. This is something that they have always held on to. This is their own religion as well, to dominate no matter what they have to do. They are going to continue to dominate people by force. That is what the dominant society wants to do, and going to continue to do so until somebody grows a spine and says enough is enough, and I'm going to start fighting back. So black people, my fellow black people, don't allow what the celebrities are trying to do to mold your thinking. I remember my father, as I got older, me and my brother, we came to appreciate as to why our dad did not allow us to have a television in our bedroom. And when we wanted to use the computer, it had to be outside in the living room, because it's a good way to control what's coming in your house. You see, the social media is at our fingertips no matter what. Parents, are you monitoring what your children is watching? Are you monitoring what they are reading? Now the child is going to sit up and say, and I remember saying this, why you always in my business? Like, why are you doing this? Oh, I can't do this. I can't do that. You know what? Let them know continually. I'm doing this because I love you, and because the world that we are living in, there are people out here who wants to hurt you, who wants to harm you. So I'm doing everything as I can as a loving parent to protect you. That is what your child needs to be hearing every single day, that you are going to make sure that you protect them at all costs. I know we as black people, we are not in a position, all of us, to homeschool our children, but we need to make sure that our children, their battle wear is always firm. We want to make sure that they have that breastplate. We want to make sure that they have that whatever it is that they need to ward off the blows of these wicked individuals, so that when they come home, you continue to refine their garment. You continue to reprogram them again, letting them know that, hey, this is what we are going to go by here at home, not what the school is teaching you. The school is trying to indoctrinate you. That's what they did in Germany. The school is trying to indoctrinate you to go against something that you know is wrong, that you know goes against nature itself. Parents, you all have a hard fight than what it used to be 20, 30 years ago. Your fights are even harder now because you have to. It used to be that you send your children to school to learn or to the library to learn. Now your children is being told that they must accept homosexuality, and now soon pedophilia, because you had this particular professor that one of the students says had them to write a paper on trying to lower the age of consent all the way below the age of 6. So it doesn't matter. We are being affected no matter which way we go in life. I want my brothers and sisters, please, your children's life is literally on the line. It is on the line, and you must do everything you can in your power, even if it means making certain sacrifices to protect them. That is your job, number one, as a parent. It really is. So it shouldn't be that hard. But what makes it harder is the pressure that we are under. Monitor what they are watching, monitor what they are reading, and most importantly, know who they're associating with. Don't forget, bad association does spoil useful habits. It only takes a few. You could be around somebody that you don't see at that time is bad influence on you, and then next thing you know, you're going to start acting like them, and you're going to be like, whoa, what happened? Because of who you're with. So that's about it, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your evening.